The Russians and the Turks have made their military presence in Nagorno-Karabakh, which is internationally recognized as being a part of Azerbaijan, but the Armenians believe it belongs to them. The Russians brokered the peace deal between the Azeris and the Armenians, and, well, that was done for geopolitical advancement, because if you can determine peace, then you can reassert your position in that region. The Turks have essentially defeated the Armenians by proxy. People say, well, this is an Azerbaijani victory, but the reality is that this is a Turkish victory. The Azeris, for one thing, are ethnically Turks, and the Azerbaijanis, they have a very interesting slogan for their relationship with Turkey. They like to say that we are two states and one nation. They consider themselves as being one with Turkey because Azerbaijan is one of the Turkic nations. It's part of the Turkic Council, which is Turkey's attempt at making its own NATO. And the Turks and the Russians are vying for that region. That's quite obvious. Historically speaking, both Turkey and Russia have had power and control over the South Caucasus. Historically, they have fought over the South Caucasus during the First World War. Azerbaijan was really a point of contention and conflict between the Ottomans and the Russians. When the Russians were under the Bolsheviks, they had a battle with the Ottoman Empire over the city of Baku, which is the capital of Azerbaijan, and the Russians lost. And they also had a series of battles over the area of Van in Armenia, which was one of the centers of the Armenian genocide. When you read about the Armenian genocide, a lot of the historical explanations of that horrific event will have a substantial amount of attention on the area of Van. The Turks initially were controlling Van, and then the Russians approached the Turks, and the Turks ran away before the Russians could even get there. The Russians occupied Van, then the Turks came back, the Russians ran away, and a lot of the Armenians also ran away. And then the Russians came back, and they fought the Turks, and they went back and forth like that several times. Historically, the Turks and the Russians have vied and fought over the Caucasus. And now they are there in Nagorno-Karabakh. They are there. The Turks tried to exterminate all of the Armenians, and they didn't succeed. And now they're trying to resume from where they left off. And that's why they fought against the Armenians through Azerbaijan. The Russians brokered a peace deal, and the Russians are trying to reassert their position. And they know for a fact that the Armenians are relying on the Russians for their security. And that's why a lot of Armenian people have, and in a way they have really no choice. They're placing their hopes in the hands of the Russians, hoping that the Russians will protect them against Turkish advancement. The Russians are there to make sure that the Azeris don't do anything violent against the Armenians, and also they are there to make sure that the Turks don't do any sort of advancements within Nagorno-Karabakh against the Armenians. And the Turks, they want to control Armenia. They want to control Armenia. And if the Turks ever go past Nagorno-Karabakh and enter Armenia, the Russians more than likely will eventually have a conflict with the Turks. You have two militarily powerful countries who historically have fought each other many times. The Turks and the Russians have had numerous wars against each other, and in every single instance, the Turks have lost. Yes, the Turks and the Russians today have diplomatic relations, and they have maintained diplomacy for the most part. But when you read about the fact that the Russians and the Turks are vying over Libya, they are in conflict over Syria, and then the fact that Russia annexed Crimea, which is literally right across from Turkey. What we are seeing, what we are currently witnessing, are the battle lines being drawn. We are transitioning towards a pre-World War atmosphere. The Turks and the Russians are vying over power in Libya, in Syria, in the Mediterranean. The Turks are expanding in the Eastern Mediterranean. And now the Russians have been saying that the reason why the Turks put their special forces in Nagorno-Karabakh is to sabotage the Russian position in that region. And how could they sabotage the Russians? Well, one thing that the Russians are warning about is that the Turks will try to get the Azerbaijani population against the Russian soldiers. And we could be seeing Azerbaijani terrorists, Azerbaijani nationalists, Azerbaijani soldiers attacking Russian soldiers. And remember what happened in February of 2020, of this year. The Russians and the Syrians slaughtered dozens of Turkish soldiers. Also, I'm pretty sure this happened last year. The Turks shot down a Russian fighter jet in Syria. And this happened either in 2019 or 2020. I don't remember, but it happened. The violence has already been done. The tension is already there. And the battle positions are currently being made. We are transitioning towards a pre-World War atmosphere. This decade that we are in, the decade of the 2020s, is going to be a decade of preparation for war, preparation for militarism. And we're going to continue to see diplomatic relations being maintained between the Russians and the Turks, but eventually it's going to implode. It's very obvious. You have two countries, militarily very powerful. They have been in numerous wars against each other historically. They have been in battles and in wars over the Caucasus, over Crimea. And what do we see? We see the Turks and the Russians competing over Crimea. The Turks want to use the Crimean Tatar Turks against the Russians. The Russians took that region because, well, the Russians used to control it and the Russians want to revive their empire again. But also, it's right across from Turkey. It's a perfect position to have when you're trying to keep the Turks in check. And you have the Turks planning on building a railway system that will connect Turkey with Azerbaijan through the, what's it called? The Nagorno-Karabakh region, I think it's called. But the Turks want to have this railway system. It's going to go from Azerbaijan and it's going to go right through the same region where Mount Ararat is. And Mount Ararat is very close to Armenia. How did the Turks manage to get so many Armenians into the Syrian desert where they forced them to do a death march with starvation and death from dehydration, and people were murdered and raped? How did the Turks manage to move so many people to their deaths? They used a train system. And the railway system was the Berlin-Baghdad railway system, which was engineered by the Germans. And, well, the Turks have been working with the Germans and the Austrians. And in fact, a number of years ago, I remember writing about how the Hungarians and the Turks and the Austrians were working on a railway system that could further connect Europe with Asia. And now the Turks want to build a railway further connecting Turkey with Azerbaijan. For all we know, one day these railway systems could be used to move people to their deaths. What I do know is that we are entering a very, very dark era. And that's the bottom line. You guys just heard some theology. God bless.